Hey, what's up, guys? This is Kaleo Dudois, and you're watching Tennis Ninja TV.
Aloha, guys. Welcome once again to Tennis Ninja TV. I am your host, Shane Cashin, the Tennis Ninja. And guys, I've had a couple guests over the last few weeks. I hope you've been really excited about sharing journeys from all over: college tennis, pro tennis, high school tennis. Today, guys, I have another treat for you from the college tennis realm. If you are very familiar with Punahou, this interview is for you. Guys, I have a guest who's currently playing for the Navy shipment over in the mainland. She's well known in the state of Hawaii, has even won a mixed night doubles tournament, if you follow those as well. Guys, say hello to Katreina Corpuz. Katreina.
Aloha, guys. Hey, how's it going? I'm Katreina. Nice to be back in the Hawaii community.
Yeah, it's so good to hear from you. How have you been doing? The island's been wondering.
Yeah, no, I've been doing great, kind of getting back into the whole college grind. We're starting practices and workouts this week. And then we're like 3 weeks into school now. So I'm trying to get back into the sleeping as early as possible, but like coming off of that quarantine chill vibe and like going back into, okay, I got stuff to do now, which is always tough. It's the same as coming off of any summer break, really. But I'm excited because I'm back here in college with all my friends, and I love everybody here. I'm excited for the semester, even though we don't have a season. At least, you know, we still have practices and workouts, and I can still see my teammates every day, which is all I can ask for, I guess. So we're chilling. It's all good.
Guys, if you're watching too, give us a like, comment, subscribe if you think we should be getting one of those mood lights that she has in her room too. That's pretty cool.
Yes, they're not that expensive, actually. I mean, it was a gift from somebody, so I don't know how expensive they are, but yeah, definitely high recommend.
You know, I want to start real quick with the $1 million question every tennis player, kind of finds who they are, and their origin story is what inspired Katreina Corpuz to pick up tennis all those years ago. Do you remember?
Yeah, so actually, my dad was always playing league tournaments in Hawaii, and so he'd always take me out to his matches when I was younger, and I was like a toddler, mainly just so I could get some sun. And like my mom was busy, and they were both working, but yeah, on the weekends he'd play his league, and he'd also be watching tennis on TV all the time. So I grew up seeing the greats on television. When I was younger, I was a big fan of Serena and Venus, because I knew that I had a baby sister on the way. So I thought it would be cool if we played tennis together, like the Williams sisters. I actually have a picture of I think I was like maybe 6 or 7. I was just holding up this little tin plate. I was like this, like Serena was when she won Wimbledon. And I think it was Venus. I'm not sure. But yeah, I was a big fan of those sisters. But in general, I just like being outside at the parks and watching my dad play. Like, I thought it was really fun. He made it look like he was enjoying it, because like obviously he's friends with his teammates and everything. And they had food and like they potlucked after the matches. So naturally I saw that tennis was a fun thing to do with friends. You know, it was kind of like get out there, like do this with your friends. It's so cool. And like, oh, look at these cool people on TV. Like you could also do that. Sure. And so, yeah, it was always really fun. In our backyard, my dad would draw little, like places to put my feet, in chalk, and I'd like step in there and like so that I'd learn how to stand. He gave me a little racket, and so he'd in our backyard he'd be tossing balls. I mean, this is before I was in school, so I was like 4, and he'd give me a little racket. He'd toss balls at me, and I'd like try to whack him. And so that was like our little game that we played before I started going to school. So yeah, that's kind of how I started getting into tennis. Yeah.
Talking about her dad, Reinaldo Corpuz, Coach Reinaldo, as a lot of people know him here in the islands, and particularly the court behind me, which I'm not at, guys. Again, it's just a background. Central Oahu Regional Park, one of the courts where actually I met Katreina for the first time. You know, Kat, that's so interesting how, it's parents play a big role in, I guess, starting you off in whatever it is you're doing. And your dad, has been extremely dedicated to the game as a player and a coach and a fan. And it sounds like a lot of that is kind of rubbed off on you when you first started, huh?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to go out and do what he was doing. I mean, like most kids are going to want to do that. Like just they have, someone that they look up to, and anyone that they look up to in their lives, they're going to want to do the same thing. So that's definitely how I got into it.
But not many of us may know about the humble beginnings, maybe if there were any for you. And do you remember any particular memories when you first started playing in the juniors?
I always loved JTT.
Mm.
And I mean, I always felt a little out of place at the beginning because I remember playing with people a lot older than I was. Because I started playing matches around like 8. I actually used to have a 2-handed forehand. And it was super fun because I'd just like, ha, and like whack everything, right? But then my dad was like, okay, no. Like, we're gonna teach you like a modern forehand. I played Little Mo. I like Little Mo. Just traveling and just getting to sightsee wherever we were going. I mean, I think everything's great in Hawaii, but you don't have a lot of variety, I think. And so I always loved traveling and seeing, new people, seeing new places, like the neighborhoods and all the different, I discovered, I didn't know that Chipotle existed until I was like 13. So yeah, just, going after all these things. Like I love going to California because we got to eat In-N-Out. So yeah, I remember in 2012, I spent about 2 months in the Philippines with my coach Tuan. I played at their little academy, which was really awesome because I got to get out of the country and also experience new things. I love traveling, but also pretty difficult because the other kids were really good. And I was the only Filipino who couldn't speak or understand Tagalog. So that had some pros and cons. But then I spent the summers of like, I'd say 2013 to 2016. I spent those in SoCal. Playing in those tennis groups, and I made a lot of friends and connections that way. And it was great because it introduced me to a new level of competition. So Hawaii, like since you play the same people for every tournament, like you basically know how to play people. And so instead of really learning and developing your game, you're just learning how to play the same person every time.
Sure.
And like exactly what to do, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and like that'll get you a pretty good spot in Hawaii, but in the grand scheme of things, like you're gonna struggle nationally because obviously they don't have not everybody has the same game style. I also have really good memories of like zonals and winter nats, hard court nats, also because of the new competition and like just picking up on the tennis culture that other sections had. And like Hawaii, everybody's so nice and everybody's like, oh, auntie, uncle, like, yeah, everything's so chill. But no, going to all these other places, like your opponent's mom is not your auntie. And it's definitely a different vibe over there. And it's kind of really helps keep everything in perspective. Like you're not always going to be in Hawaii all your life. And if you want to get your name out there, you're not going to be friends with everybody, and everybody's a little more competitive at those kinds of tournaments. But I still keep in touch with some of the girls that I was paired up with for doubles. And it's so cool to see where we're all at nowadays. So yeah, great memories from those national team tournaments and everything. Overall, I just love the Hawaii tournaments, just chilling with the homies in between matches or hanging out on Maui and the Big Island. Those indoor courts where they hold Mayor Monarch. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that stadium. I forgot the name of that stadium, but
it's the Edith Kanakaole Multi-Purpose Stadium. Bam, right there.
Okay, yeah. Absolute favorite place to play because the surface is so fast and it always sounded so good when you're hitting. And so it's just, and also I love playing indoors because the sun is not my friend. So yeah.
Your tan definitely does not explain that. But
I tan very, very quickly. And I also got a lot lighter coming here, which is crazy. especially for my first year playing here, oh my gosh, like I had to change all my makeup colors because I was a different color. It was wild. But yeah, thank God I'm coming out from summer and like now I'm tan again. I'm like, all right, yay.
One thing that really stands out that I really kind of detect from you, Kat, is from an early age, it seems like you knew already that the racket and the ball was the way to go, at least for whatever sport you wanted to commit to, huh?
Part of that is definitely from my dad. Like I think he realized that that I could pick up the techniques really quickly. And so he kind of just like molded my strokes from really early on, and then just kept just repetition, like over and over again. We just go out there and he'd feed some balls, and like I thought it was like fun, you know, just like what kid doesn't want to go outside and like whack stuff, you know? And so like that's how it started.
Eventually your junior highlights and experiences landed you at Punahou, where you were playing for the varsity team over there. Tell us a little bit about that experience, being a member of the Buff and Blue team back in the day.
Yeah, so actually I only have happy memories about being on, like, of Punahou tennis in general, because before I was on the team, I was playing in the ACE program in like middle school. Those are super fun. But yeah, varsity team, like all the coaches that I had and assistant coaches, they were amazing, and they always knew what to say to the team. They just did a perfect job cultivating a productive environment for the players day in and day out. And they're great leaders in terms of being coaches and mentors for situations on and off the court. And I felt like I could talk to them about whatever I needed help with, like a high school where, you know, you're trying to figure out what you're doing, who you are, what you want to do in the future. Like, you know, you're young, but you're also like, you know, coming up on like 18, and you're like, okay, I need to start, you know, figuring some things out. I think all the people on the coaching staff really set us up for just being on a team and having a very, very healthy team.
What do you think was your fondest memory over there playing high school tennis?
Taking trips with everybody. Those are definitely all the highlights, because I mean, we'd all stay in the same little condos with each other, and we'd eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. Especially we had amazing team moms, and they would always have all the food for us. Just hanging out with the team, I think that was the first time I really had like a group of girls that, like, it was just, you know, it was just us, like being teammates and being friends, and supporting each other in our matches, and then like coming back and watching movies together over dinner. Like that was always big highlight of high school tennis. Oh yeah, we took Stanford trips. Yeah. So we all played this. I forgot what the tournament was called, but it was a high school little competition thing where we all got together and we played at the Stanford courts, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. They have such amazing facilities, and then we got to tour Stanford, tour Berkeley. Overall, that was such an amazing trip. So yeah.
Along the way too, Kat also picked up a doubles and a singles state title, which is an incredible accomplishment. That got the attention of the Navy shipment, and here you are now, you know, playing for Navy and going to school there and also serving the country, I might add, which, you know, thank you for doing that. Tell us about the experience it's so far been at Navy as a collegiate player, but also post-high school.
And so high school, yeah, I was never really super studious. I kind of just did the work that I needed to do in order to look good enough on paper to get into college.
I've been guilty.
Yeah, okay, you get me? Okay, yeah, you understand. School-wise, I was chilling. And so my first year at Navy definitely blindsided me with the amount of stuff we had on our plates. We had this 6 weeks of this thing called Plebe Summer, which is not boot camp, but it's like an indoctrination into a military environment. which would feel like a boot camp to someone coming directly from high school whose like main hobby is taking naps in her free time. So like I was struggling. Okay. I was struggling. Like I can't do push-ups. Like I couldn't do push-ups and I still struggle with them. Okay. So during those 6 weeks, we got to play tennis once a day for our like a 2-hour allotted sports period, they called it. And it was the one time every day that like we could speak freely, and we could like we didn't have to address anybody by sir or ma'am, or like, you know, like we could be like, hey, like how's it going? We could say that. And I was like, wow, I can talk to my friends as a person. This is great. And so I began to see tennis as an escape from the academy, and being on the court for me was like my time to hang out with my friends on the team and have fun together. Whereas like in high school, it was like, oh my God, I need to go practice. Like I need to go work on my serve because I need to get into a good college, or because I don't want to pay for college. You know what I mean? Like it was like grinding for a different reason. But at Navy, like during all of our team practices, it's like, you know what? I'm going to grind because everyone else here is grinding, and it's productive, and I'm having a good time because I'm tired, but I'm being tired with my friends. And at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's a good thing for all of us. The competition was so different from junior tennis, which is why I love it so much, is because it's so different. Like in Hawaii, it's hard to be super competitive when it's such a small section, because you kind of want to, like, you want to be friends with everybody at the end of the day, which is a problem for me because I tend to get feisty when the match is close. But in college, like, you don't know who your opponent is, right? And so personally, it was easier for me to just play my game without worrying about other people's feelings. And so, you know, it was truly a competitive environment for everybody. And also, you're cheering for your teammates. You're playing right next to your teammates. Like, those are your girls. And we're screaming at each other back and forth. Wow. And then we go out and play another point. And I just love that dynamic. Especially we play in an indoor facility most of the time because it gets cold here. And yeah, it's great because like I love like just the sounds and everything. And so obviously when you're cheering, your screams are gonna echo and it feels really good. Everybody's uplifting everybody basically. Like I like to crack jokes at my teammates when we're like playing singles together. And there's always like those certain teammates where like you see what court you're on. If you're like next to each other, you're like, yeah, like it's gonna be a good time, you know? Whereas like juniors, like you're kind of like out on the court by yourself. You don't have any coaching, and you're kind of just like sitting in your little bubble with your opponent who you're like kind of want to talk to, but not really because you're playing a match. You know what I mean? Yeah. But definitely such a different dynamic. Helps mentally, and overall is just for me so much of a better experience than junior tennis. So I'm not trying to talk bad about junior tennis, but
sure,
I love
fully understand tennis. That. Yeah, it's you're not the first person to say that on this show. That just college tennis, college tennis in general. I've even gone and seen matches at UH for years. That team environment is, I get it. It is a totally different environment, and it's family yet strangely very competitive, and it's actually kind of addicting from what people have told me. You know, I'm sure you probably played quite a few matches too that have been intense. Are there any that come to mind based on what you've played so far? Okay,
there are a few. It's mainly when the other girl's cheating and you get all the girls, which is so, honestly, I love it. I love it when somebody wants to start cheating, because I'm like, okay, I understand what we're doing here now. Okay, I get it. That's my favorite. But we'll get all the girls on that one court and just start, like, we're hanging over the edge of the railing, because the way our courts are, so you have the courts at the bottom, and then the viewing area is actually on the balcony. So we're like, we're like right on top of the court basically, and we can see everything. And so when we notice something's fishy, we all kind of just gather and scream, and it's great. It's just, those are my favorite times. It doesn't even matter who's playing.
And I knew that where that conversation was going.
Because like we don't know them, like personally, we don't know them. So like
Sure.
I don't like we're not concerned about hurting your feelings. Like if I see a bad call, I'm gonna be like, yo, that was a horrible call. Like, good job. Like to my teammate, I would yell at her name. I'll be like, nice shot. That was a winner, you know? And like no remorse, which is what I love. Also what I love about college tennis. I was definitely overwhelmed with the workload at the academy because like I'm coming into my first semester, I had 21 credits. And then, so you have your schoolwork and then you have your military obligations and then you have your team practices and your team workouts. And then, so I was able to compartmentalize tennis and be like, okay, this is my time to play tennis. And then when it's not my time to play tennis, it's my time to worry about other things. Definitely increased productivity because I wasn't constantly, like I wasn't overthinking, oh, I hit this bad shot or I made this decision, whereas I should have gone here, not here. You know, like when you step off the court, like it's like out of sight, out of mind, and now I need to go do my homework, you know? Whereas like in high school, because my dad was my main coach, right? So in high school, like I'd play a bad match and then I'd hear about it all night. And I was like, okay, it was tennis 24/7. So I was like now, you know, you get on, you do your practice or you play your match and then you debrief like while it's still fresh in your mind. You like write your bullet points down, talk about it with coaches. But after that, like, hey, I actually have stuff to do now. So like, I'm gonna put this away until tomorrow, and I'm gonna use this and play better tomorrow. But right now, like, practice is done. I'm done, and so way healthier in terms of like just the emotional aspect of like my relationship with tennis. So much better here because I have more things to worry about, and so tennis wasn't like, it's still a priority, right? It's still a priority, but I don't let it get to me as much, like emotionally and mentally, and like I don't feel like I am defined by a match, like a certain match. Like I remember one time I lost states. I forgot what. Oh, yeah, it was my senior year. I lost that states in singles, and I was like so like heartbroken over it. And then I come here and I'm like, why? You know, like I was like, it's just a state tournament. You know what I mean? So that's what I like about playing tennis in college is that it's like the stakes are still high. Like I know they're high. I still want to win. I still want my record. So, you know, I still have goals and like I want certain results. But at the end of the day, that's not the only thing I'm doing here. Like at the end of the day, I'm trying to graduate and I'm trying to commission as a naval officer and, you know, have my little career outside of, you know, I have a life outside of tennis. Right. And it's like, absolutely. Thank God. But yeah, so much better here.
And you know, I wouldn't be I can't move on without also mentioning the you know, the other local tournaments when you are back in the 808, what you can play. And you know, there were some marquee years where you've played in the mixed night doubles with particularly Ikaika Joe, Thomas Schubert. You even played in the US Open Wildcard in the mixed doubles, which again, amazing. Do you remember any of that at all?
Yeah, I do. Night doubles is definitely my favorite tournament to play just because the ambiance and the crowds and like just the fact that like people are just like eating food and watching tennis. It's just such a great vibe overall. And I just like being there even if I'm not playing, but like preferably I like to play. But like you're always nervous because of the crowd. But like when I was playing them, like I'd play them with Alyssia too, Alyssia Fossorier.
Right.
We'd play the women's night doubles together. And like we knew we had nothing to lose because like we were in high school. We'd put on our little like high school uniforms to be matching. And we just go out there and play doubles, you know? And it was just so fun. And so like there were nerves present, but not as much pressure. But like so I kind of was able to play like my nerves to my advantage because we both knew that there was nothing to lose really. And it was just, at the end of the day, it was just great collegiate level experience, just playing against older and more experienced players, and people that we definitely wouldn't be able to see in normal tournaments because like they're older. Like we were playing HPU girls and BYU H girls, sometimes UH girls, I think, I'm pretty sure. And then especially in mixed, like I think I had to play against Hendrick one time, which was really scary. I played against Wrong Ma. That was, oh God. That was really scary too. But at the end of the day, it's just so fun, you know. At the end of the day, you want, like, people come out to watch some quality tennis and it's a good time, you know, and like I wasn't playing for anything but to just go out there and have a great match with people that, like, I don't know, like maybe I'll win, maybe I won't, but like it doesn't really matter to me because like all these people are here to watch for a good time. Definitely a different experience from like your typical Hawaii junior tournament. Well, obviously because it isn't, but you know what I mean.
You know, you described that experience even playing with Ikaika as something very special. So as I think you mentioned once before. So do you remember playing with Ikaika at all?
It's so crazy. I mean, he's an absolute beast. And he's always like poaching. He's got crazy angles. His serve, he's got the best kick serve. Okay. I remember just going, like, we'd play a match and then my dad would take me out after that match to go practice my second serve to make it look like Ikaika's. And I just remember that. Yeah. I'm still working on it. My serve is not up there yet, but I'm working on it. It was so fun playing with him and Thomas too, because they're just, both of them are such talented players, and they know what they're doing. Whereas like at that time I was very, in terms of doubles, I was very stupid, in terms of like strategic and tactical things. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, you know what? If the ball comes in my area, I'm going to hit it. That was about it, you know? And like back then I was very uncomfortable at the net still. Yeah, college, I learned how to volley, guys, just saying. Back then, I mean, it's definitely them carrying the team. But I learned a lot. Like I was just always in awe where we'd be playing a point. I'd be like carrying the cross court rally and they just like swoop in, do the, you know, poach and everything, just all these trick shots. Ikaika had all the trick shots and I was like, wow. But yeah, it's just always so fun. I mean, definitely a kind of a blur playing with them, but also like I remember a lot of good things. So.
But you know, Kat, I'm just curious, out of all these experiences you've had up to this point, I mean, you've probably had tons of different coaches. You've had your dad, you've had the naval coach, you've had Ikaika, and all these guys probably, as you play, are learning. What have been some big things you think that you've learned the most as a tennis player?
I think one of the biggest things was that all of them combined, like they all said something about it, which was why it stuck so well with me, was that be able to remove myself mentally from tennis itself, like in general, because I would always get so like wound into the sport, and I'd be off the court, I'd be done with a match or a tournament, like I'd be out of a tournament, or I'd be over. Even if I won the tournament, I'd be like thinking, oh my God, like the score was this, but it should have been this. And like, why didn't I do this? Or like, this could have gone a lot better if I did this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all these thoughts when everything is over, like I'm not competing anymore. It'd still be on my mind constantly. So I think the biggest takeaway I got from the coaches and mentors in my life was being able to take myself out of the game for as long as I needed to. I mean, it's not healthy to be constantly thinking about, I mean, obviously, like if you're doing it professionally, like, yeah, you probably would be thinking about it 24/7, but like, that's not me, you know, like I was trying to get into college, you know, and then now that I go to the college that I go to, I mean, tennis is more of a side hustle, if that makes sense. It's not my life, and honestly, it's because of that little switch in mentality, I've grown to love it, like actually love it, and I need it in my life, just like, I mean, as little as possible, or as much as possible, you know. It's not like a job for me anymore, because I learned how to, you know, distance myself emotionally from being on court and my thoughts on the court. So
Seriously, I think that's something that every player should be striving for, and I'm glad you came to that realization. Now you're enjoying the game maybe more than ever before. Which then brings me to one of my last few questions here, which is where does Katreina Corpuz go from here? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but do you kind of have an idea where you're going to go next? I think you kind of alluded it about going into the service and tennis.
Yeah, so everyone after graduation, we serve in the either we can graduate either as a Marine Corps officer or a naval officer. I, being physically challenged, will definitely not be joining the Marine Corps. And I'm definitely going to go Navy. Before I got here, when I was still looking at Navy as a prospective school and I was still looking at other schools, I really wanted to, I fell in love with the thought of being a Navy pilot, because who doesn't want to be a Navy pilot? Like, have you seen Top Gun? Like, come on. Also, actually, I was playing, I was warming up for a night doubles match, and then I put on a Navy jacket because I'd already committed by that time. I put on a Navy jacket, and this guy comes up to me, and he says, like, are you, like, going to the Naval Academy? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, how'd you know? He's like, I was wearing your jacket. I was like, awesome. And he started talking to me. He's like, well, I was just watching you play. He introduced himself. He was a Vietnam veteran, actually. And he flew right, and he was just at the night doubles at just hanging out at the racquet club, just watching matches and stuff because he's a tennis fan. He's a retired fighter pilot. So I was talking to him, and he paid for my first flying lesson, the Cessna, on the premise of you graduate as a pilot and you fly FA-18s, which are the fighters. And so I was like, okay, those are huge shoes to fill. But I took the lesson, fell in love with it. I flew a little Cessna. It's like a tiny little plane with like 2 seats in it, or 4 seats, I guess, because my dad was in the back, and then I had the pilot next to me, and he let me like drive it and stuff, which was such an experience. It was the coolest thing ever. And my dad took all of the videos and pictures, obviously. And so after that, I really, really, really wanted to be a pilot. But then after coming here, I kind of just, we were introduced to all of the services that you can go into. Like if you commission as a naval or Marine officer. And now, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if I were a surface warfare officer, which is just you just go on ships and stuff. I really don't have a preference of what I want to do when I graduate. But either way, it's a 5-year commitment, just like to pay off the school and stuff. And now I'm locked in because, so I'm a junior now. And so at the start of junior year, like we signed this document called 2 for 7s. And basically it's saying that like you're trading in your 2 free years of school for the next 7 years of your life in the Navy. Because you can be at the Naval Academy, you can take classes and everything for free, your freshman and sophomore year. If you want to leave, you have to leave before your junior year, because if you start your junior year, like that means you are going to be in the Navy for the next 7 years. Or else, like if you get kicked out or if you want to leave after that, you got to pay like $400,000. So, yeah, so I basically signed that document. So I'll be in the Navy for the next 7 years, at least. If I go naval flight officer, though, that's also an option. I'm not sure if I want to go pilot because that's 10 years instead of 5 as a commitment. I'm not really sure if I want to be in the Navy for that long yet. I would either go naval flight officer, which is, if you've seen Top Gun, it's what Juice does. Yeah, so like you do everything but fly the plane basically, which is also cool. So either that or I'll go surface warfare, which is the guys on the ships. So,
regardless of whichever path you choose, Kat, I think I can't leave this interview without doing this.
Oh no! Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, just thank you for just not only sharing your journey, but serving your country. You know, that's a huge
Yeah.
honor. And, you know, Kat, many prayers and blessings. I wish you the
Thank
best.
you.
Whether you're serving in the air or on the ground, that is something to admire.
Thank
You know,
you.
I have one more surprise for you, and this is my
Okay.
favorite part of the interview, is my
Okay.
rapid fire questions. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, if you haven't seen the other videos, I just ask real quick questions. It's just a personality thing, and it's a chance
Okay.
to have some fun before we wrap up. So,
Yeah, for
ready?
sure.
Question
Yeah.
number one. Katreina, what is your favorite color?
Red.
Red. Ooh, interesting. We
Yes.
haven't had that one yet.
Really?
Yeah, no,
It's the best color. Come on.
everybody picks blue, man.
Blue's basic.
There you go. Thank you. Favorite music artist?
Oh, I really like The Weeknd.
The Weekends, right on.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Abel. Yes.
Role model growing up. Who was your role model?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think it's my coach's daughter, Tammy Wynn. She ended up playing all of her 4 years at SDSU. And now she's doing great things. She's a school teacher now. But growing up, she was always kicking my butt. Because I met her and her dad when I was about 10. And we met at the Ossing courts in Eva. And we were just hitting around, and it started our dads started talking to each other, and so we started hitting. And oh my gosh, she is so good. One of the most talented players I know, for real. Her ball goes about this high over the net, and just everything is just so fast. And but then she's kind of like a big sister to me, because obviously I didn't have a big sister, but I would always look up to her because she would take us out. She'd take me out to the mall, and then we'd do all these family things, and she would always stay with me when the adults are talking. And she's 6 years older than me, so big props to her for doing that. But I always looked up to her, and she always I always went to her, talked to her about things that I needed help with personally when I was coming up in middle school and high school. So yeah.
Racket of choice. What's your current racket?
I currently play with the Wilson Blade.
Oh, well, back to the blade, huh?
Yeah, I went back to the blade. It was crazy. I think the first year I was here, I still had the Boblat, the Aero Pro. I feel like every racket I try, though, I end up liking. So, but I feel like at this point in time, I should just stop making my dad buy me new rackets, and I should just stick with one. So, yeah, I'm with the blade. I'll stick with the blade.
Favorite movie? What's Kat's favorite
movie? Oh my gosh, I do not have a favorite movie. I like all of them. Seriously, I can't even give you one.
All
I'm not even gonna try.
Right on. Kat's a movie buff, guys. Any movie goes.
Yeah.
Most memorable Hawaii tennis experience?
I think the most memorable was playing night doubles. I think it was the semifinals of the women's night doubles. I was playing with Alyssia. I'm not sure. I think the match was close. It felt close. But we were playing against two HPU girls. And it was such a good match, I think. Both of us were playing pretty well. But at the end of the day, we lost it. But then I remember, I don't know why, I was very dramatic back then. I probably still am, but I was very dramatic in high school. I'm sorry. I remember Jared Carson interviewed us because we were on the center court playing that match because it was a semis. And then after the match was done, he interviewed us, and I was crying for the entire interview. And it was just, sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, oh God, stop. That's probably the most memorable, because it was a good match. At the end of the day, it was a good match, but I did not have to be crying. And there was a full crowd too, and I was like,
oh boy, God.
It's just, yeah, I knew to chill out back then. But
well,
yeah.
you know what that would tell me, Kat, if I was a fan, is that you cared. And I think that, again, like I said, that is admirable, because I've been in that same situation in matches where it means that much to you, and that's something awesome to admit, so no shame in that. We love you, Kat.
Oh, thanks.
Well, here's a wild card for you. Favorite hair or makeup product?
Okay, Fenty highlighter, great. I also like Bobbi Brown bronzer. That's going on your cheeks. For mascara, I use this Japanesey brand that I can only ever get on Amazon. Seriously, stores do not sell it here. Okay, but I have a cousin that used to live in Japan, and I asked her about it, and I was like, "Yo, what is this?" And she was like, "This is a drugstore, literally a drugstore makeup. Like, it doesn't cost a thing. Like, I don't know why you're so obsessed with it. It is the only thing that works for my lashes. Okay, seriously. So I will stand by that for the rest of my life."
Wow, that is the most particular answer I've actually
Yeah, these Japanese brands, they understand me way more than anyone ever could.
Oh, man, I love it. That's so gold. That's awesome. Favorite Hawaii tennis course? When you were back here, where did you like to go hit?
Whenever I was at CORP, which is the most frequent, because it's like right by my house, I'd play on that court, the one that's right behind you. I just like for practicing, like I'd always just try to get that court because it's so fun to play on because like you can hear the ball and everything. It's just there's a lot of space. Kailua Racket Club is definitely up there. And then also of course the Merry Monarch place, that stadium.
Favorite beach? Where was your favorite
beach?
Island?
Probably Yokes, because it's just like a big stretch, or any east side beach really. But I like going to the North Shore, not to surf, just to like look at the waves and stuff, because I can't surf because I have no balance. So yeah, just vibes.
Favorite place to eat? Where's your favorite place to eat in Hawaii?
Oh, Jen is definitely up there. The Korean barbecue place. Yes, oh my gosh, I would kill for some Korean barbecue here. There is none. Like nearby, the nearest Korean barbecue place is like seriously 40 minutes away. It's in Baltimore, okay? And we're in Annapolis.
Oh, wow.
So far. I really liked Agu. I think that they were a little pricey, but I always like ramen. Jen and Agu, definitely.
Right on.
Oh, and Cheesecake Factory. Yes.
Oh, there's a wild one for you. Gotta get the Cheesecake Factory.
I love cheesecake.
Favorite hobby other than tennis?
Favorite hobby? Oh, I've gotten into, I'm trying to learn guitar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I started picking up the guitar as more of a quarantine hobby because I was like, oh, what can I do like indoors and away from people? So my cousin actually bought me this very beautiful baritone uke. So it's like an ukulele, but the strings are the last four, the bottom four on a guitar. And mainly he did that because, one, I'm not really going to travel across the country with a full-size guitar. And I don't have a lot of space in my room. If you can tell, like it's a very tiny room. There's 3 of us in here. But I personally, I can't like reach the strings and stuff on the guitar. My fingers weren't strong enough to like actually hold the strings down. So he got me a uke. But I've been tinkering with that lately. Like trying to learn songs and stuff.
Singles or doubles? What do you prefer? What do you like better?
Oh, see, that's a hard question. It's a very hard question because I love singles because like you're in control, or you're more in control than, in doubles. But since I've come here, I've been playing with one partner and one partner only, and it's because we work so well together for the entire time that we've been, and she's in my class too. We became friends on our recruiting trip here. So before we started playing on the team together, we were friends. Honestly, any doubles match with her, I will take that over any singles match by myself. I think from an objective standpoint, if you take the partner out of it, I probably prefer singles. Favorite
pro tennis player of all time?
Probably Fed.
Roger Federer.
Definitely Fed. I've had a crush on Fed since I was like 6 years old. So.
Favorite Grand Slam?
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon, right on.
Yeah.
If you could give one tip, Kat, to an aspiring junior player or a total beginner, what would Katreina Corpuz tell them?
I think the biggest thing that I realized about tennis was how mental of a mental sport it was. And I realized that, like, yeah, you can be super talented and you can like work super hard and be the best at all the drills, but if you don't know how to play tennis, like if you don't know what to do when your opponent does a certain thing, if you don't know how to critically think on the court, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You're not like I learned this my first year here, which I should have learned it way before because I was been competing, but it really only clicked until college that how mental tennis is, and the fact that like your attitude really changes a match. Something that I work on that my Navy coach told the entire team to do was when you're playing a singles match and you're in your head, you're getting down, you're dragging your feet, you're hanging your head because you're pissed off because you're playing bad. Like your thoughts to yourself should be the same as what you say to your doubles partner when your doubles partner makes a bad shot. It should be that level of respect, like personal respect and self-respect. And you got to be as nice to yourself as you would to your doubles partner. After that, my entire match play just changed because I'd make a bad shot and I'd be like, oh, that's all right, next one. It's all good. Because that's what I would say to my doubles partner. So mental aspect is huge. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice to anyone playing tennis is remember how mental it is.
You have the floor right now. I always like to leave closing thoughts, time for that. Is there anything you'd like to say to the Hawaii tennis community, Kat?
Keep at it. I mean, it's definitely a journey, and don't take things for granted. I think I was late in the game and, really like truly appreciating who I was around and the experience that I was having while I was having them. I was so lucky to, be able to play the amount of tournaments that I did and have the amount of experience that I had as a junior. I didn't know how lucky I was to have that at the time. And so I guess, yeah, my closing thoughts would be like, appreciate your coaches, appreciate your parents who pay for tennis lessons, which are so expensive. I know how expensive they are. Your parents are working hard to put you through this. So appreciate them, work hard at it. Basically, like, don't waste your time.
Awesome. Right on. Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us here today on Tennis Ninja TV for an interview and sharing your story, your journey on the court, off the court. And again, thank you for doing your thing out there. You're making us all proud, very proud. And you the best moving forward as well. Guys, if you're watching, thank you again for tuning into Tennis Ninja TV. Again, guys, I hope you guys got something out of this interview and enjoyed the story. We'll be back with more guests hopefully next week, and we'll look forward to those highlights of Kat coming soon. Until then, guys, God bless, be safe, and aloha.